Welcome to the Explainer. So, picture this, right? You've got this massive deadline looming, you've finally cleared off your desk, poured yourself that absolute perfect cup of coffee, and you sit down to tackle this huge mountain of work. But literally the second you're about to read that very first sentence, this overwhelming wave of dread just washes right over you. Yeah, we've all been there. We absolutely know that feeling. Well, today, we're diving into a really profound, highly specific concept to totally transform that everyday struggle into what's known as the cognitive art of academic refusal. We're going to look at how to fundamentally rewire how we handle distractions. It's this super fascinating intersection of our vibrant social lives, our underlying brain chemistry, and ultimately, our academic success. So, let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever noticed that the exact moment you mentally commit to tackling a major assignment, it's like the universe just decides to test you? Your books are open, your highlighters are perfectly uncapped, you take this deep, centering breath, and buzz, your phone lights up. It's a TikTok link from your best friend, or maybe a quick invite to grab coffee. And just like that, the battle is completely lost before it even really began. It's like the ultimate test of your resolve, right? Why is saying no to that one simple text message or that casual call the absolute hardest part of studying? It feels monumental. It's this universal conflict that completely derails our best intentions, and honestly, it sits at the very heart of what we're unpacking today.
See, there's this massive tug-of-war happening right inside your mind. On one side, you've got the social invite. Now, this represents immediate gratification, connection, and let's just face it, it's inherently fun. On the flip side, we have academic focus, which demands intense, rigorous, and sustained effort. But let's actually break down the biological asymmetry at play here, because it's pretty wild. That social invite, it offers your brain a cheap, instant hit of dopamine, the ultimate feel-good chemical. It requires literally zero effort to consume a funny video or fire back an emoji. Academic focus, though, man, that is a massive energy drain. It needs heavy amounts of glucose to power your brain through complex problem-solving and critical thinking. And since your brain is naturally efficient, or, okay, maybe just a little bit lazy, it's always going to want to choose that path of least resistance and highest immediate reward. That right there is the biological friction we're up against before we even turn a single page.
So to actually win this tug-of-war, we need a massive paradigm shift. We have to truly understand the sheer power of the word no in a school setting. Usually, right, when we turn down a friend's invitation, we're instantly hit with this huge wave of guilt. We stress out about FOMO, the fear of missing out, or we kind of view saying no to our peers as this social failure, like we're letting them down or missing a chance to connect. But we need to reframe this entirely. What if we stopped looking at no as a rejection of a friend and started viewing it as a really powerful yes to your own potential? Saying no isn't some negative, mean action. It's an empowering, highly deliberate, and absolutely crucial academic strategy. It is literally the boundary line you draw in the sand to protect your own time.
Just think about that specific phrase for a second. Academic refusal as a cognitive art. Why call it an art? Well, by framing it that way, we start to realize just how sophisticated this action actually is. We're not just talking about stubbornly putting your head down or aggressively silencing your phone in a sheer panic. No, it's an art form because it requires timing, it requires grace, and most importantly, it requires removing all that emotional baggage from the refusal. It is the masterful, intentional act of ignoring social invitations, specifically to guard your academic focus, and doing it without letting that guilt creep in and totally sabotage your mood. You're basically painting a protective boundary right around your mental space. And here's the thing. This isn't just about raw willpower or, moral fortitude. It actually comes down to hard biology. Specifically, it points directly to your prefrontal cortex. You can think of the prefrontal cortex as the CEO of your brain. It's the main command center that handles executive function, complex planning, and regulating your focus. But there's a catch with CEOs, right? They get exhausted. Decision fatigue is a very real thing. When you're sitting there, completely tempted to just abandon your books for a night out, the prefrontal cortex is the exact region of your brain that has to step in and override that primal desire for instant dopamine. It's the part of you that has to step up and firmly say, no, hold on, we have long-term goals to meet. And honestly, it takes a massive amount of energy to do that.
And this brilliantly illustrates the actual pipeline, how we turn a distraction into a catalyst for focus. Imagine this whole sequence happening in just a fraction of a second. First, step one, you perceive that incoming social invite. Your phone buzzes, the screen lights up. Instantly, for step two, you have to wake up that prefrontal cortex, your brain's CEO. You have to actively engage it just to pause your immediate knee-jerk reaction. Then comes step three, where you execute the academic refusal. You decisively say the word no, whether that's out loud or just mentally, and you physically put the phone in another room. And finally, step four, because you successfully cleared that hurdle, you initiate deep work. you transition smoothly right into your studies. It's this incredibly clear cause and effect chain reaction where blocking the distraction is actually what fuels your momentum.
So, the absolutely crucial point to remember here is that this is an active, ongoing effort. It is quite literally a form of training. You've got to think of your prefrontal cortex like a muscle at the gym. The very first time you try to lift a really heavy weight, or, in this case, the first time you actively ignore a super tempting invite from your best friend, it hurts, it feels exhausting, and you might seriously struggle to pull it off. But over time, as you get those consistent reps in, those neural pathways actually strengthen. The act of harnessing your focus, actively ignoring that buzz, and cultivating the power of no eventually stops feeling like this agonizing decision. It becomes an automatic reflex. You are physically building the mental muscle required to unlock ultimate focus.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is when you put all these words together, you really start to see the sheer density and power of this concept. It elevates what seems like just a mundane, everyday student problem, getting distracted by your friends, and turns it into a highly disciplined practice. It completely shifts your mindset away from that fear of missing out. Because the truth is, you aren't missing out. You are actively engaging in high-level cognition. You're practicing the finesse of an art form, and you are executing an absolute refusal of mediocrity. It's just such a powerful reminder that elite focus isn't some magical gift that's only bestowed upon straight-A students. No, it is a masterful skill that has to be honed and perfected over time.
So why do we go through all this training? Why do we put our brain's CEO through such a grueling workout? Well, it's all because of the ultimate cognitive payoff, which is deep work. Deep work is the grand prize at the end of this pipeline. It's that elusive flow state where the rest of the world just kind of fades away. It's the state where time practically disappears, your anxiety drops, and you actually produce your absolute best, most creative, and most meaningful output. It is this intense level of productivity that you can only achieve by successfully executing that academic refusal. It's the profound reward that makes the temporary sacrifice of, say, ignoring a meme or skipping a quick coffee run completely 100% worth it.
Which brings us to a final, incredibly important thought. If deep work and ultimate focus are waiting for you just on the other side of that refusal, well, what could you achieve if you finally, consistently said no? I really want you to take a second and truly visualize your own potential if you could just string together week after week of uninterrupted, pure focus. If you actually dedicated yourself to training that prefrontal cortex and mastering this cognitive art, how far could your academic focus realistically take you? What could you build or create or master? It's a deeply empowering thought, honestly, and it's a fantastic question to ask yourself the very next time your phone lights up. See you next time on The Explainer.